This time on Sports Business Journal, Inside the Industry.
They are trendsetters, tastemakers,
and they're more sophisticated about the business.
We explore the athletes who are flexing their financial game.
I thought it was time for something new and something better.
Earning mega deals in the arena.
5 years, $255 million.
You guys sound like agents over there, all right?
Taking their talents from the locker room.
Jamila Wideman drives to the basket and scores.
To the boardroom.
Everyone encouraged me to imagine myself outside of the court.
Even stepping into the owner's box.
I remember watching a soccer game and then looking at like how many people were at the game. I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of that.
Welcome to your peek behind the curtain at a most competitive business. This is Sports Business Journal Inside the Industry, presented by DXC Technology. I'm your host, Tarik El-Bashir, and today we're exploring athletes building their own business empires. Joining me in the studio, Sports Business Journal senior writer Joe Lemire, the Washington Capitals Assistant General Manager and Director of Legal Affairs, Don Fishman, and of course, Sports Business Journal's publisher, the one and only Abe Madkour. Great to have you all. And great to have our sponsor, DXC Technology, on board as a presenting partner of the series, as well as an official partner of Monumental Sports and Entertainment. Today, guys, we're talking about every fan's favorite subject, athletes, especially star athletes, and money. Abe, why are we so obsessed with player salaries?
Many fans feel that money dictates success. They understand the economics of their leagues, and so yes, they're able to pinpoint exactly where teams should be spending and who they should be spending their dollars on.
I mean, for sure, in the hockey industry, it's half the fun is following the salary cap and what teams can spend. It's part of sports.
We live in a star culture. As kids, almost every one of us at some point fancied the idea that we would be that star athlete. We think about the riches and fames.
The Capitals made Alex Ovechkin the first $100 million NHL player. What do you remember about that deal?
Amazing for him, amazing for the brand. You know, you go to a Capitals game, of course, now, and you'll see 18,000 number 8 jerseys in the stands. And not only did we re-sign him, but he signed on for 13 years. We had a star, and the star was going to be staying here in Washington. It was fantastic.
When it comes to player contracts, there's just so much to unpack. Let's have a quick glimpse at how those complex deals come together.
It's your job to make sure the bottom line is where it needs to be.
Obviously, we know that the TV deal is going to go up. How does that affect their cap and their contracts? You know, I just carry that no matter max player, minimum player, I carry that.
Jalen's extension, Jalen Hurts, the quarterback for the Eagles. Last spring, it was 5 years, $255 million with
like that.
Nearly $180 million guaranteed, which at the time, for 4 days. but that doesn't fit. I mean, still, like, you see that.
Jackson's like, hold my beer.
So there's Jerry Jones, Scott Boras, and me, and they set up a football field with the salt and pepper shakers and like forks and napkins. They negotiated my contract by moving the salt and pepper shakers, and they called every yard line a certain amount of dollars. And I watched Scott move the salt and pepper shaker here, and then Jerry moved it there, and I was like, literally like, this is surreal that they're negotiating my contract with a salt and pepper shaker here at this restaurant.
What's driving this explosive growth in player salaries?
More revenue. More and more revenue is coming into the sports ecosystem, and as collective bargaining, players deserve and are granted the right to share in that revenue.
Don, in the NHL, there's a hard salary cap. They actually shut down the league for an entire year to get that hard salary cap. How does it work?
Basically, in a nutshell, you take the league revenues, they divide it 50-50, 50 for the clubs, 50 for the players, spread that amongst the 32 teams, and that's how you get the amount to spend.
More media revenue leads to greater ability to spend on players. And when the NHL has their next media rights deal come up, there'll be more money in the system, more money to share with players, and players will expect to share in that revenue.
Speaking of more, I think I read the NHL salary cap is going to go up $25 million over the next 3 years.
You guys sound like agents over there, all right?
What's driving the growth?
We're trying to navigate. Revenue is driving the growth, but you guys sound like agents. I mean, we're trying to contain salaries a little bit.
Joe, there's no cap in Major League Baseball. You got the Mets way up here at $315 million.
And the Dodgers even higher.
And the Dodgers even higher. And way down here, you got the A's at just $62 million. Is that sustainable?
It has been sustainable for a long time. Baseball has fought very hard, the Players Association, to make sure that there is no salary cap in baseball. But certainly we've seen recently that system has changed dramatically. That uncertainty is helping depress some salaries and free agent spending.
But I will say some owners will look at their top line revenue and say it's not where it used to be, specifically with the regional sports networks not funding as much of the revenue as they did in years past. So owners are making decisions based on their balance sheets. They will support Rob Manfred's call for a hard salary cap, and they're willing to sit out to try to get what they can get.
NHL salary cap combines a maximum with a minimum and with revenue sharing. So NHL is committed to parity, and the cap system from the beginning was set up to funnel some money back to those lower market teams.
The irony is that Major League Baseball has some of the best competitive balance and parity despite all of this, because just because you spend the money doesn't necessarily guarantee anything.
Do you guys feel like baseball owners would actually go to a season-long stoppage to get a hard cap?
I do believe it.
I'm not as convinced. We certainly saw around the COVID pandemic and even the past lockout that owners are willing to strip away some of that regular season inventory for sure. A full season is a much harder sell, and it's just really testing the loyalty of fans.
Right. While salaries offer short-term stability, today's athletes understand it takes more than a paycheck to build for a lifetime. Let's have a look at how players across the sports world are building not just their own futures, but their own empires.
In the sports world, there was a really long time where athletes were criticized for doing, it was just shut up and dribble.
You're seeing a lot of athletes venturing out into different spaces because we are tastemakers, and they influence of our world, but brings on a different revenue stream where you don't have that split with the league. I was involved in car dealerships when I was still playing. I was a minority owner of the Padres for a time. Roger Staubach and I had a NASCAR team. And then now, the beer business. Thought it was time for something new and something better, and I think it's resonating well with the consumers. It's been challenging and it's been rewarding.
Abe, for a long time, I feel like athletes were just lending their names to businesses. Now they're actually running businesses.
The influence of today's athlete, greater than ever. They are trendsetters, they are tastemakers, incredibly important in pop culture. They can play in a lot more spaces, and you're seeing that now.
And Don, you and I have been around the Capitals for 20 years. I feel like I see more Jeep Grand Cherokees in the parking lot than 911s nowadays.
Whether it be education from agents, from the media, they're
Players associations
they're just more
things for rookies.
sophisticated about it going in as 21-year-olds, looking at investment vehicles, thinking about the next step. Is it in the hockey business? Is it in business? And from the moment they enter the sport, kind of what am I going to do after the sport?
Many of them have gotten into venture investing. A lot of them love technology and have started their own funds to that end. Thaddeus Young, who made 9 figures in player salary from being around a long time, halfway through his career, he went and got his MBA.
They're passing around deals all the time because they're working within the tech sector.
He has a remarkable portfolio of businesses that he's established.
Also, teams are more open to players expressing themselves and showing their brands. We see it as a positive, whereas maybe a few decades ago we saw it as detracting from the team's brand. But now when Ovi is out there, or these players are out there, it helps our brand. Fans want to follow these players and see what they're doing, and it helps draw eyeballs back to the teams.
I think Don makes a fantastic point, and the word is about brand. The word brand is just elevated, and every athlete, for better or for worse, thinks they're an individual brand that resonates, and so they're going to really try to utilize that, optimize that, and what's driving it is they want their brands to be extended post-career.
You know, there was an influential Sports Illustrated article about 15 years ago showing some pretty grim statistics about bankruptcy among retired athletes soon after their careers are over. I think guys and girls really start to think more about their long-term future. Active athletes when their off seasons are interns at places. They're getting more, rookie symposiums about financial literacy. There are a lot more resources to guide them. And my conversations with athletes about businesses they've gotten into, almost all of them say that started during their active playing days. That didn't used to be the case a decade ago.
Well, athletes are aiming for a bigger piece of the pie. Just ahead, we'll visit an all-pro linebacker who's really taking command, and we'll hear from an accomplished former athlete who has big plans for the WNBA's Mystics.
People getting to grow is the kind of imprint that I hope to leave.
All that and more on Sports Business Journal, Inside the Industry, presented by DXC Technology. Presented by DXC Technology, the official global partner of Monumental Sports and Entertainment. Welcome back to Sports Business Journal, Inside the Industry, presented by DXC Technology. This past spring, former Super Bowl champ Bobby Wagner signed with the Washington Commanders and made the most of his first season in the DMV. Interestingly, he didn't need an agent to get it done. Let's have a look.
All-pro linebacker, currently active in the NFL, but also actively getting his MBA at our beloved Howard University.
I had visited Howard campus and I thought it was just amazing. And then the business program was, everybody spoke really highly of it. So I decided to attend.
You did something that not a lot of athletes, not just football players would do, but athletes, period. You decided to part ways with your agent and represent yourself.
When I got into the league, it was like 80% of players end up broke. I just felt like there was a lot of stuff that I could do on my own that would probably better help me like life after football. I didn't know about private equity. I didn't know about investments. I didn't know about entrepreneurship. And so I started with internships. Intern at Starbucks, Microsoft, VC firms. We are really good football players, but we can be even better at whatever we decide to do. We just got to figure it out.
You have secured over $100 million in contracts.
Yeah, I just bet on myself, and I feel like it's going well so far.
It's great to see Bobby Wagner and the Commanders in that video instead of Jalen Hurts and Troy Aikman.
Says the Commanders fan. I want to ask you, over the course of your 2 decades negotiating contracts, how does that change the dynamic when you're dealing directly with a player?
You're talking right to the principal right there, and obviously in someone like Nick Backstrom's case, he's read the articles that these great reporters are putting out. He knows the other comps, and he'll argue right back at you. So in Ovi's case, we had to deal with his mother, so that in some ways is even harder.
It's tough.
Who doesn't think their kid is the best? But athletes are just, they're sophisticated. They see the data that's out there.
And sometimes they don't want to pay the agent fee, and there's some other expenses that they want to forego. Sure. You heard it in the video.
Yeah.
Some athletes want to bet on themselves. Athletes are also getting into media and production and entertainment. And I think one of the lessons of Peyton Manning and Omaha Productions is just showing how they can almost be media moguls. Tom Brady's into that space, Giannis is into that space, and I'm sure there's so many others I'm not even mentioning because they want to be in the content creation business.
And in control of their own images, too.
Yes.
Absolutely, and that's a big part of it, to tell your own story and make sure that their message is unvarnished and direct.
Well, other former players work front office positions and focus their business acumen on roster building. As it just so happens, I recently had the pleasure of sitting down with an accomplished former athlete who is doing just that. New Washington Mystics general manager, Jamila Wideman.
Outside over to Jamila Wideman for 3. Got it.
Jamila, you were the 3rd player ever drafted into the WNBA. You won a championship overseas as a player. You've practiced as a lawyer. Many years as the NBA's senior vice president of player development.
Yes, we want to win championships. Yes, we want to win games.
And now you're the general manager of a WNBA team charged with building a roster. What's it like sitting in the boss's chair right now?
It's great, isn't it? I have lived a career where I've given myself permission to move as my heart and my gut has told me to. When I went to college, there was not a professional league here in the States.
Right.
So my choice was, I'm gonna get to the best school and get it paid for. Basketball gave me something, I got it, I'm winning,
Yep.
and then I'm gonna go off and do the rest of my life. And so I was already excited and passionate about some of the other opportunities that were in front of me, and I planned for them.
Right.
The WNBA happened my senior year. The blessing of that is that everyone around me expected and encouraged me to imagine myself outside of the court. And so I think I've carried that and tried to make sure that every player gets that chance too. I think that's a little bit of what being a general manager is about.
It's a people business.
It's a people business, and I think of it as a role that's really to create space for other really talented people to get into and do their thing. One of the unique experiences of athletes is you are making money and you don't know when that is going to stop. And so having a sense of building both for a short-term and a long-term future is not easy. Being an advocate for a game at the same time as you're trying to be an elite athlete, that's a lot.
Right.
But the truth is we've done it, and we've done that as a matter of course. Right. And so in taking this role, I just feel such tremendous gratitude and respect for those players who have put this game, this league, this team in the position that we're in now.
Guys, players moving into front office positions is a time-honored tradition. Around the different leagues, are we seeing more players step into those roles?
Certainly with Moneyball, Billy Beane's the most famous former baseball player to lead a front office. And then after that, it was very much populated by Wall Street analytical types. I think we got away from some of the former players. But some of that data literacy is reaching the clubhouse now, and some really dive in. And that's why I think you're starting to see a little bit of a resurgence.
And Don, they're probably picking your brain because they probably want your seat eventually. They want to, not your seat, but they want to go into the front office.
For sure.
They want to use their expertise in the sport to be a decision maker at the team level.
But then you also have others going in different directions. Sam Fuld was someone who had been the Phillies general manager, but now he's going back to Wharton with the intention of leading the Phillies business operations.
You know, something I picked up from Sports Business Journal, 94% of female C-suite executives played sports when they were younger. Why is that?
Determination, the drive, the competition that you go through as an athlete, the managing time. Leadership qualities, absolutely.
You know, the business world used to tout how much they love competing against one another in the industry. We're doing that in the front office. Why wouldn't an athlete want to do that?
And I'm sure when you look at a resume of a young person you're considering hiring, you certainly look to see if they played sports, because all of those attributes teaches just a better, well-rounded young person or future executive.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but before we do, it's time again to test our knowledge with what we call the Money Minute. Today's question: what are the top 3 professions outside of sports that former pro athletes get into when their playing days are over? Who's got bids?
That's a tough one.
These questions are so hard. I don't know why we're trying to make us look stupid.
Sales or insurance.
Hospitality, restaurants, bars, entertainment.
Wouldn't surprise me if something like real estate is up there.
Stick around as we'll reveal the top 3, talk player ownership, and maybe even predict the future right after this. Well, it's time for the big reveal. What professions draw the most pro athletes when they're done playing sports? According to LinkedIn News, we have a tie at number 3 with 5% apiece: teachers and financial analysts.
Okay.
Strong professions for strong people. Coming in at second, we have our entrepreneurs. A respectable 10% of former players open their own businesses.
Okay.
That's what you said.
All right.
And taking home the gold with a whopping 27%, as predicted by Don, sales. Every athlete has a story, a brand, and you can certainly see how that would appeal to their clients. Surprised?
Well, he is the smartest one, obviously, in the round table, because he nailed it.
It's our own little family feud.
Well
see
done.
Take it. I mean, I think a lot of them, they spend their whole life out on the field, out on the ice. The last thing they want to do is sit behind a desk. I think they like being out there, and a lot of them, they like people.
And they still have that name recognition.
Yeah, there's definite clout that helps them for sure.
Well, we've all seen professional athletes dominate on the field, but let's take a closer look at the growing number who also rule the ownership suite.
Bogdanovich, and a miss. What a great defensive play by Young.
Do you have any aspirations for sports ownership at any level. I remember watching like a soccer game and then looking at like how many people were at the game. I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of that.
Former Major League pitcher, former Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Chad Hutchinson. Who are some of the teams that you have invested in so far?
Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings, Philadelphia 76ers, Chicago Cubs, Fenway Sports Group, Tampa Bay Lightning, Utah Jazz, Utah Hockey Group, Paris Saint-Germain, and Aston Martin. It's a great business. If you look back over the last 50 years, North American sports franchises have averaged CAGR of 12 to 16%. It's a scarce asset that continues to appreciate.
The fact that Jupiter here is where I've lived and this is my home, be able to bring a franchise here was important to me.
WWE champ, of course, but businesswoman, business owner.
My husband and I, Brandon Phillips, who also played in the Major League for 16 years, we own a professional softball team out of Austin, Texas. In our first year, we won the WPF in 2023.
Why are so many pro athletes seeking to reinvest in pro sports?
Well, they love sports. They see the franchises increase in value throughout their career. They want to play a role in that.
I think also they grow up playing the game and watching what the managers are doing and criticizing it, and they have their own ideas about how to do it.
And a lot of ownership groups are seeing the value of having someone like that associated, partly for, as a brand ambassador, but also, having someone who can relate to the players in a way that maybe an owner who came from another industry cannot.
The story du jour is certainly Tom Brady's investment in the Raiders, and you are seeing more and more players get into ownership at limited partnership levels, but you've seen it with Michael Jordan, you're seeing it with Grant Hill, you obviously saw it with Magic Johnson, so it's just going to be a trend we're going to see continue.
And there are also just more startup leagues, whether it's professional lacrosse or Athletes Unlimited. There are a lot more opportunities for athletes to be involved and potentially get equity stakes.
Joe's right, those unrivaled TGL, Tomorrow Golf League, they are offering equity to their players who play and participate in that league, and that's something you're going to see more of as well.
And how great is it just for the industry in general that we've figured out avenues for all these great athletes to stay in the game and stay at front in some way, whether it be Tom Brady or Alex Ovechkin someday. These athletes are great, and rather than just have them fade away, we're keeping their names out there in whatever portion of the industry they decide.
Now, before we call it a day, guys, what do you say we have a little lightning round here?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Buy or sell. Is 2027 the year MLB has a hard salary cap, Joe?
Hard sell on that. There may be some more strict rules around spending, but I don't see a hard cap.
I'll go buy more jobs for salary cap experts.
What do you say?
I'm going to say buy. I think that Rob Manfred's legacy is that he wants to leave baseball with the commissioner that got a salary cap in that sport.
Finally, we've seen Michael Jordan give it a go. Mario Lemieux got it done. But the next former athlete to be a principal owner of a Big Four champion will be LeBron James. Buy or sell, Don?
Can we go sell? It's going to be Magic Johnson and the Washington Commanders.
Oh, boom.
Sell just because it's too hard to win a championship and to have that kind of certainty. LeBron is well equipped, but the numbers are against him.
Tremendous amount of respect for LeBron, but a sell.
And there you have it, folks. In the years to come, remember you heard it here first. And we'll see you next time on Sports Business Journal Inside the Industry, presented by DXC Technology.